Nice to talk to you again, Anton. What have you been up to since last time we spoke?
A lot. Good to talk to you as well. Yeah, I mean we've been working hard here in the factory and been scaling up the production, which has always is a new challenge every day, of course. And I had the pleasure to go visit some of our team in US, some of our dealers, and also participate in a race called Gypsy 500 in Utah. So that was really a lot of fun to ride some varg in the desert in the US. It was a cool experience. And now back here and trying to continue becoming a little bit better every day together with the team. And it's intense in a good way.
Okay, great. You have to tell us, how did the race go, Gypsy 500?
It's pretty cool. So 500 is because the race is 500 minutes long, and then you are 4 people in every team. So I think there were 200 teams in total. So around, you didn't have to be 4 riders. There was actually some crazy guys doing the whole 500 minutes themselves. So that's 8 hours, and there were 3 varg teams actually. So one was the Gypsy team, which was the Gypsy Tales guy Jace, as well as his brother and a guy called Steve and me. And then were 2 customer teams as well. And the remaining 197 teams were gas teams. And so it was basically like a 10K or a 7 or 6 mile long track, where like maybe 80% was just sand in the desert, so it got extremely rough, I would say, with huge braking bumps, and 20% or so of the track was like a hard pack motocross track with some nice jumps on it. So it was super fun. So we did like 1 lap each. 1 lap was 15 to 20 minutes, and then we swapped every lap, and it was cool to see that the bike could do it, and we charged in between the heats for everyone, and we kept on riding for 8 hours. So it was super fun and super hard.
Yeah, I guess everyone have seen you pulling a wheelie.
I hope so.
Kaxigt, as we say in Swedish.
Yeah, it's my only skill, so I have to use it as much as I can.
Also, last Friday you released an updated version of the app, and I think it was a beta for the race mode.
Yeah, correct. So a huge challenge for us has been to work with all the federations across the world to allow the electric bikes to race in the same class as combustion. And why is that important? Well, motocross and enduro is really a community sport. So there's a lot of sport where it's only high level, like Formula 1, MotoGP, and similar sports to that, NASCAR and so on, where there are quite a few people competing, and it's all really high-end teams. But in motocross and enduro, the vast majority of everyone competing is just normal guys like you and me that race for fun. And I think it's important that you want to be able to continue to race with your friends. Shouldn't matter if someone is riding a 2-stroke, 4-stroke, or an electric bike. Let's ride together and have a good time. So that's been a focus from us since we started the company, and we had discussions with federations quite early on, and came to a conclusion with some of them that the most important thing is to be able to compete at similar terms. So electric shouldn't have an advantage, but it shouldn't have a disadvantage either. So what we concluded with these federations, in a particular ACU in UK, FFM in France, and also the Australian Federation, was to limit horsepower in each class. So in the 450 class, 60 horsepower, which is very similar to 450, and the 250 class, 48 horsepower, which is also very similar. And in order to limit the power in a good way and a controllable way for the federation, we developed this race mode so that the rider or the federation can lock the bike within a specific power, or let's say maximum power, for a specific time. And then the bike is also clearly communicating this so that everyone around the bike can see, this bike is locked in the MX2 class or the MX1 class. So it has been a big development from our side. It has taken a long time to certify this, develop this function, and finally last week we felt that okay, this is ready enough to go out, and we released the beta version. So we will continue to improve it, of course, but now it's available for all customers globally to try, and it can also be used then in racing, and it's quite cool now to see how every weekend we start seeing some Vargs competing in national championships all over the world. So I hope this will be a good tool that more people can enter racing globally, and hopefully something that can also inspire other electric bikes in the future to have a similar function.
Beta label, what does it mean in this case? Is it like stability or is it functionality?
Well, I mean, it is quite early stage, so we have certain things that we know we can improve, that we will continue to improve, but we also want to hear everyone out. So if you try it and if you have feedback, something that you would like to improve, please let us know, and we will do so. Also, right now it's available for everyone. In the future, it will only be available in the Pro subscription that we will launch in the next few months.
Yeah, and I understand the subscription model has been heavily discussed online since last Friday when they released the news.
Yes, I mean, I think there's been a lot of interesting comments everywhere. Some people that is questioning why is there a subscription model, and some people that understand why there is one. And first of all, I think it's important to just mention, because that can easily be forgotten, that we did mention that there will be a subscription model in the launch video when we launched the company in 21, and it has also been mentioned on the product page since day one as well. So like, it's not something new, but it could have been something that people have forgotten or maybe didn't notice years ago, which is of course fully understandable. Then why is there a subscription model? We have a lot of very talented people working on improving the bike. So we want to continue doing that. So after we sold the bike, we don't feel that the relationship has to be over, between us and the customer. We want to continue to make every single bike better. But all these talented people that we have that are continuing to create new features, they're not working for free. And we want to be able to continue expanding those teams and make the bike even better and better and better. So therefore, a subscription model as an option, it's not a requirement. That's also important to mention. As an option for those people that want all the features that we can create, it's really a choice. Like, you want to pay a few euros per month, like, it's not going to be expensive, in order to try new features that has never been available before in the automotive industry. And I think that's a pretty cool choice to have. Like, you're not forced. And I think I can also tell clearly that everything that is available in the bike today will still be available in the free version. So we're not going to remove anything from anyone except the race mode, which is now just a beta version. And actually, well, also the internet. So every bike has a SIM card and a data subscription that we are paying for, and unfortunately data isn't for free. I mean, there's no one that has free data, because there is no free data, unfortunately. If you go to a cafe, you can have free Wi-Fi, but when it comes to 4G or 5G, that has a cost. And for everyone to be able to update their bikes for new features, we have to pay that data, of course, globally. And we will continue to pay that for people that have the free version, in order so that everyone can continue to update the bike to make it more efficient or a little bit better, or get some more features. So we'll continue to cover that cost from our side. But for those that want full connectivity, all the features, all the bells and whistles, it will cost a few euros per month, which is your choice. And then ride motocross or enduro, this subscription cost, if you decide to have it, will be the smallest cost that you'll have. It's really, it's not it's quite expensive sport in general to do. So it's going to be very, very small cost to cover some of the expenses that we have, basically.
Okay, yeah, but it still cover all the data costs and also developing new functionality then.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But will all new functionality come to the subscription model only, or will you have some new functionality for the regular users as well?
Yeah, so I mean, we're working on hundreds of improvements in terms of software. So some of those you don't see is just some bug fixes, or we slightly improve something, make something a little bit faster or more efficient. So all bikes will continue to become better, and we're very focused on efficiency. So if we can find more efficiency and give you more range, that's something that will come for everyone, of course. Then in terms of if you want to be able to adjust your power curve, for instance, which is that's a huge development to make that work properly. That will only be available for pro subscription. Some navigation features and stuff like that.
What about the reverse mode?
Yeah, it's now in a trial version, so we're testing it. So I'm not sure when that will be released yet, and that will also be available for the free version.
Yeah, I would love to get my hands on that trial version because
it is so nice actually when you start to get used to it. You get so lazy. It's like, oh no, I have to push it now again. Damn it. Yeah.
I
Yeah,
also think that it will benefit for like technical training, riding in reverse through obstacles and stuff like that.
Well, I mean, actually, we have a very limited top speed in the reverse, because of course you can ride reverse, but it's gonna be walking speed basically, so you have to be.
Yeah, but maybe sometimes that's enough. I guess you have the torque at least, so the bike get through obstacles and up over stones and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think you'll like it. I look forward to see what you think.
I have nothing but praise for the support department, and I read that comment several times that the support department is actually what makes living with a new bike quite easy, to be honest. Quite quick to reply, and they most of the time, I won't say always, but most of the time, find a solution for your problems. And I also think that as a underdog, a new brand coming into the market, you have to have some level of customer support that maybe the other ones don't even bother about. But is it possible, or is it sustainable in the long run to have like the same level of support to the customers? Or will you eventually be like everyone else and send the customer to the reseller or to the store where they bought the bike and have them fix the problems for you?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is a super interesting topic, and I think first of all is like, okay, why is there support? And I think all vehicle manufacturers have, of course, warranties and stuff like that happens. And developing new technology, you will always learn new things and improve how to make things better. What we can see now is our warranty level in terms of, as a percentage of the business is in line with the big OEMs today in the world, which I think is, huge kudos to our engineering and operations department to already achieve that. But of course, there will still be issues that people have. Sometimes that something's wrong with the bike, or sometimes that someone maybe we haven't developed something easy enough to understand. So you need some guidance in like how are you gonna set something up, or what it could be, whatever. So we decided from the beginning we want to have the best support in the industry. This is really a key target for us. So we have been really focused, and I think we've been built up a super strong support team. I think they are amazing, and right now we're working in 2 shifts, so it's 16 hours per day available, and also available on weekends. And I don't think that the level we have now will continue. Our ambition is to have a higher level of service. Eventually we want you, wherever you are in the world, whatever the time is, you should always have someone available if you need help with something. And one of the benefits with our bike is that we have decided to invest in connectivity, so we can connect to every single bike globally and read whatever data and understand if there's something wrong, or maybe you need some help adjusting something, or maybe there is something wrong, you want to charge the bike and there's something wrong with your outlet or whatever, and that can be hard to understand, where does the problem come from. And we are continuously trying to improve all our internal tools so that we faster and more easier can understand and support everyone globally. But our ambition is to extend the service. I think the team has done an amazing job where we are now, but we want to continue to make it even better.
Okay, in the last interview, you mentioned that some competitors prefer to be enemies. And I got a lot of questions, and I think most people understand which brand it is. I don't know if we should mention their name, but can you give us a short backstory?
Yeah, I don't think like, we are not here to make trouble, so I don't want to speak bad about anyone because, even if our experience is something today, it does mean that everyone in that company is bad or everyone associated is. That's for sure not the case in any company or any country or whatever. Most people are really good people, of course. So no, I mean, we have competitors where we have a really good relationship, and I think they're acting, very professionally, and we want to inspire the motorcycle industry to sustainability. That's our company values. That's what we defined from the beginning. So, to see others coming up and also now deciding to build electric off-road bikes, I think that's amazing. I'm really really glad to see that. But when if you're playing by the rules, I don't think there's any reason to not like anyone or be happy. But when certain companies are not playing by the rules, and threatening people or dealers or making things happen in let's say a non-legit way, that I don't think that's the right approach.
Yeah, I totally respect you. Don't want to badmouth anyone, but still, these people, they are the ones causing quite a lot of problem for you guys when it comes to the super enduro, for instance. Do you have a dialogue, or is it like, do they speak to you guys, or is it more that they try to stop you in any means necessary?
I think it's more the second part. There's no dialogue. It's more trying to stop us or and electric in general. And
Yeah,
I think I think electric is an opportunity for everyone in this industry. Because it's such a limitation with gas bikes. We can only ride in very specific places, very far away from other people. Very specific hours. And every other sport is available in so many more places. And I was talking to a friend who's like, so do you mean that a motocross track is only open like twice a week and like 5-hour slots? Like, yeah. It's like, so if I wanted to go golf on a Wednesday morning, I couldn't. No, you would have to adapt to Sunday between 10 and 3. Like, what? Like, completely like, are you kidding? And for us obviously that's normal because we're used to it, but it's a limitation that we don't need to have. We could be able to ride in much more places, and we can today already, of course. You and I are riding electric right now, so we do it already. But many more people can, and this is an opportunity for everyone involved in industry. Also, there are other OEMs that if you also develop electric bikes, you will have the same benefit that you can give to your customers, which can grow the market actually. And that's better for everyone working in this industry, dealers, of course, clothing brands, spare part brands, tracks, obviously, so I think like if you try to stop the future from happening, I've never seen that really working. Maybe there's some example, of course, but like you should embrace a new opportunity if it is better. Like just because you haven't done it doesn't mean you can't.
then we also have the separate electric class, MXEP. I think it's relevant to this discussion as well. You already released a statement, your thoughts about the whole situation. Have you gotten any feedback from the industry? Do you
Yeah,
have
a
any
lot.
allies, or is it more like David versus Goliath?
No, so I mean, first of all, this was something that came from MSMA, which is a group of the big OEMs basically. So they made this decision, and then it was afterwards decided or communicated by MXGP. But it was a decision from the big brands. So it was not a decision that came from FIM or from MXGP. It was communicated by Infront, but it was decided by our competitors basically that don't even have electric bikes. So it's interesting that someone that doesn't have an electric bike is deciding what electric bikes should do. Yeah, okay, I think that's highly questionable to start with. But I think there's a lot of support to why do you want to separate electric? We have already proven that we can compete on similar terms, and we're already doing that in most countries across the world right now. Our customers are, thousands of people are doing this, and it's working out really well. There's no problem with that. So I think what is right will prevail eventually, and I hope that's what will happen. We have, I think right now, a quite good dialogue with FIM to work together to try to incorporate electric in racing, and I'm hoping that we'll find a way with that. Yeah, I mean, we will continue to work. We have now huge progress on a national level where country after country is allowing electric to race everywhere. Even countries that at first was a bit hesitant is now changing because they see that this is what makes the most sense. And I just hope that the remaining countries will continue, and for the guys riding electric in countries that is not allowing it, reach out to your federation and ask, why am I not allowed to race? Because that's really the question, and I think we can answer all those question marks that exist. So I mean, one thing that we had is, no, we cannot place electric bikes inside stadiums, but why is that? Our bike is fully certified, and you allow electric cars to park inside the stadium that has batteries that are 10 times the size of ours, or 20 times. So that doesn't really make sense as an argument. And if you talk, well, if you would crash a bike and you would penetrate a battery with a rock inside that stadium, and the battery would turn on fire, you would have toxic fumes coming out. And the toxic fumes created if you would burn down our bike is less than that of the two-stroke bikes riding inside the stadium without burning. So it's far less toxic than that if it would burn, which we have never had a bike crash and burn. I think there is really no argument. It's just politics, and I hope that I think it's all moving in the right direction. Honestly, I think, of course, MXGP saying that it would be a separate class for us was not the step in the right direction. But yeah, let's see.
But what do they expect? Do they expect that you race yourselves? Is there any competitors out there that are ready with the bikes for 2026? We have seen that Honda have the prototype, and we know that the Yamaha have some sort of prototype coming. We have seen the drawings. But do you expect any competitors to have a bike out 2026?
I don't think in the market, no. I would not expect that. But I mean, Honda has a prototype, clearly, of course, that they are racing in some places. The level of that bike in ours right now is not competitive. That's, of course, they will continue to make it better, but so will also us. So we would like to race our real competition, which today is combustion. I don't know when Yamaha will have a prototype or a bike, or any of the other brands, but yeah, I would assume that well, first of all, why would we enter a championship to race ourselves or race competition if it's not our actual competition? Our actual competition is the gas bikes today. That's the guys you want to beat. Imagine if you're the fastest runner in the world, but you're not allowed to race the other fastest runners. You have to race in a separate class. Like that's quite weird. So I hope that we will be allowed to compete against our competitors, and I think eventually, of course, we're gonna have some really strong electric competition. It's gonna happen. I hope it will happen, as soon as possible. But I'm not sure if it will happen by 26.
Do you think that your win in the arena cross in the UK has something to do with it?
Well, I think it's good and bad. Like, I think in many cases, I think a lot of people were questioning. You have a lot of comments previously, like, no, electric could never last the race, could never compete. If you don't have a clutch, you cannot race, or stuff like that. But I think we proved that we were competitive, and we raced according to the regulations defined between us and the federations. So, we had the maximum horsepower limit, which was already defined. That's now available in the race mode app, and we were competitive. We didn't crush our competitors. We managed to win the championship, by being more consistent, fewer crashes, fewer injuries. Which consistency in a championship is the key to winning, I think. But it was, I think, a great example of that. Yeah, they belong together. We won 1 out of 8 races, so we were, far from, we were really, we were the best overall, but it was a good balancing of racing. Yes, so I think that showed many people that well, they belong, and that's what really makes sense.
Yeah,
of
you
course,
didn't overdo it. It's
we didn't lap the second guy. That's not what happened. It was racing like it should be. It was tight, close, exciting. Like the whole point.
For the enduro part, I know you have Taddy since I think like a half a year, maybe even more. And you also signed Eddie Karlsson, which was really nice news for us Swedes, the Swedish redneck.
Exactly.
Tell us a bit more about that.
Yeah, so I mean, Eddie, he just have the best style on a bike. He has like if you've seen his videos, like he has an ability to play around on a bike to make it look so damn fun. And
isn't he like a national trial champion?
Yeah. He's a trial background. Yeah, super good trials rider, and well, as well, Taddy as well. So I mean, we think Eddie is a great addition to the team to, of course, help us develop the bikes, but also we love his style, we love his personality, and we look forward to working with him. Glad to have him in the team now.
Yeah, it's quite funny because Eddie is like the main persona for I like the smell of two-stroke guys, and suddenly the hero rides an electric bike. So it's a really convenient way to win some people's trust, I guess.
I mean, if you look at the videos he does with the bike, it is mind blowing. Like I don't understand how it's possible, but it's of course he's on a much higher level than us normal people. But it's nice inspiration for sure.
You used to ride super enduro, but what kind of races will he race now?
Yeah, so both he and Taddy will race the races where we are allowed, basically. So let's hope it will be more and more.
Recently, we have seen some previews or early tests of the Flux Primo, another bike new to the market. And one of the benefits they talk about is the clutch.
I saw a great comment on YouTube the other day. I can't remember his name, but I think it was a comment on the race mode video, maybe on YouTube. But whatever, he explained very well, like the benefits of simplifying riding. Like you have to control so many elements at the same time. So if you remove a couple of those elements, you will become better at the ones that are left. And I think really that's simplification for me is our philosophy. So try to make things easier, no gears, no clutch, and these kind of things. Are there certain situations where a clutch would be good? That's of course a very relevant question. I don't know. That's a clear answer. So what we can see is that the vast majority of the riders benefit greatly from not having a clutch. They ride better without it, and especially when you instead of foot brake swap to a handbrake, so you get better rear brake control. So which means that you always have a rear brake available, even when you're turning right, which people do quite often. You can have better foot peg position with your feet, and you have better sensitivity in your fingers than your feet through a thick motocross boot, of course. So like that's our general approach. But I mean, we are also testing, electric brake or electric clutch and these kind of things, and we will continue to evaluate that. And if we come to a conclusion that it's good, then we will make it available for the market. But I don't know if that's we don't have that result yet. I think it's interesting to evaluate, especially the e-brake, because in a hydraulic brake you have very limited adjustability, and with an electronic brake you can adjust everything. Same as with a powertrain, of course. So that's extremely interesting. So if you could have the same precision and the same feeling in an electronic brake as an hydraulic one, it will be much better from an adjustability perspective. It would also reduce the weight of your bike with more than a kilo, so more than 2 pounds, which is a huge value, of course. You never have to change any brake pads. You cannot bend the brake disc because there is none. That's also interesting. Some argue that your suspension works better when you engine brake than if you brake with a disc. I know, of course, suspension will act differently because with a traditional brake, you kind of press up the rear wheels, you compress suspension, and when you brake with your front sprocket, so you engine brake or a knee brake, you do the opposite. But you free up your suspension more, so theoretically it should work better. We will continue to test and evolve these things, and the future will see what is the best, and we will stay open. And our ambition is to build the best product that we can for our customers, and that's what we'll continue to do. So we'll test it. Of course, there's a lot of interest because people are used to something. I don't think it's a good reason to have a clutch because people are used to it. We should have it if it is better.
I've been riding like during the whole winter, and as long as the ground is frozen and I have studs on the tires, then it's no problem because it has so much grip. But once the ice start to melt and it gets really wet and really soft in the ground, then I feel sometimes that, okay, I would really need a clutch.
Or maybe you need traction control.
Yeah, that could be another thing.
But I think, we don't know. I mean, we will test and evaluate, and time will tell. But
Yeah.
we will try to figure out what's best. And it could be that something is better for some people and worse for some, and then that's the case, and that's completely fine, of course.
Last time you mentioned that you are developing a new rear brake.
Yeah, it should enter production in not too long period of time, and I think it clearly works a lot better. I think of course formula works okay, but not perfectly.
But will it be available before summer, or is it later this year?
Yeah, before summer. Yeah, and for the people that don't have it today, of course you can also buy it as a spare part and swap to it if you want. Yeah, it will be available for summer.
Will it have the same diameter in the connector as the Formula One?
I actually don't remember. I hope so, but I'm not sure.
Okay, then we have some questions from the last discussion that we had. I received it from viewers and people on different forums. The most common one is regards of road use. Will it ever be road legal, the current MX model? Or do we have to buy, I think, the Enduro one or Supermoto one?
Yeah, the current bike won't be road legal because it's not adapted for lights and these features that are required with steering lock and stuff like that. So yeah, of course you can always custom build your bike and register it as a home built bike or something like that, but we won't make this bike available. Then the Enduro bike or the Supermoto in the future will be, of course.
When it comes to stolen bikes, can you remotely turn off or shut off the bikes and track them?
Yes, we can. It's not super convenient the way we do it today. So the functionality is there. It will become better. We had actually a case last week where a customer bike got stolen. I'm not sure the status of that today, but we asked the team to look into it, of course, and theoretically we can do both those things. And I think this is also interesting where for instance, why shouldn't you be able to track your bike yourself, like from your iPhone or whatever other Android device that you have, so that you can see where it is at all times? So this is also something that is on our development list, and we want to make that available so that you could just track your bike yourself if you want, for instance. And then shutting it off is of course extremely sensitive. It's very dangerous shutting a bike off when someone is riding, so that has to be thought through properly so that I don't think that adjustability should be available publicly, of course, but of course we can do it.
But that's something that you can do if, let's say, my bike gets stolen, then I can send you guys an email, and you make sure that the thief can't turn the bike on.
Yeah, like if you look at motocross and enduro historically, like it's so annoying that there are so many thefts happening, and I think all of us know people that got their bikes stolen, and that's also one of the reasons that we integrated all of these features that will be, of course, fully available, so that hopefully if you have a stock bike, thieves will know, well, it's not a good idea to steal that bike, because they're gonna find me. So for sure, that's our ambition.
Some hardware questions here. Is there a solution available for providing a throttle tube grip similar to what's offered on the, let's say, KTM bikes, or aluminium throttle tube or something like that? So, something that holds up better than plastic.
We're not developing that right now. We have some ideas how to improve that, but it's in very early stages, so can't really say so much about it. But I think there is some opportunity for innovation there, to make it better than how it's done today.
Will Stark provide a safety lanyard?
No. And the reason is that we had a lanyard in the beginning of our testing, but we realized quickly that it's more dangerous to have one than to not have one. And we probably have more experience riding off-road electric bikes than maybe any other company or anyone else. We have several guys testing every single day, and especially in a contact sport, in a race scenario, or in an enduro scenario where you ride close to trees and branches and stuff. If something can pull off your lanyard and kill your bike unexpectedly, that's super dangerous. And we have had that happening in testing, and we think it is a very, very bad idea to put a lanyard on a motocross or enduro bike because of safety. So for that reason, we're not going to develop something that we don't deem safe. And that's, I think, it's part of the work we're doing. Federation is trying to figure out, how can we achieve the objectives of what everyone wants, in the best possible way, because of course a lanyard is used in some sports like speedway, for instance, where you don't have that same risk. But we have this empiric data that shows us that it's more dangerous, and then we cannot do it. But there are other ways to achieve, like if someone crashes, how do you make sure that the bike doesn't keep on running, or that someone runs up to a bike that is laying down and accidentally grabs the throttle, these kind of things. I think, of course, these are important problems to solve, and we're focused on them, but we do not believe that lanyard is the way to do it.
Could it be some sort of other sensor that turns off the bike if crash detection or something like that?
Yeah, I mean, we have all the sensors on the bike, so we can detect the crash. It's very important to, you can't take that lightly, because you can never have a situation where you turn off the bike if it has not crashed,
Yeah.
So fairly big development, but fully doable for sure.
Yeah, I think everyone who has ridden a Suron knows what you're talking about, because you have a sensor in the side stand, and I think you have more sensors as well that sense false negatives and turns off the bike, more or less. It's a totally different kind of bike, but the problem is the same. Okay, in regards of other bikes, is there any plans for kids' bikes in the future?
Yeah, for sure. Makes sense to make those electric as well. We have some really exciting ideas, how to make those. If you look at the main categories today, how can you create something that, where electric is better? And of course, it's very similar to the VARG, but I think for kids it maybe can be even a bigger difference as well. And I have many friends that, when their kids jumped up to, like a 65 two-stroke, a lot of kids stop riding them because it's a really scary bike to ride, super difficult. So, like a PW50, like super mellow, easy to ride, works well. Like, I think all kids love them. But then when you jump up to like a 65 two-stroke with a gearbox and clutch, like, shit, that's a really difficult bike to ride. And I have a lot of friends' kids who stopped riding when they got one of those. And I think that's, if you could develop something that's easier to ride, less scary, easier to control, also less maintenance, of course, less noise, like for sure should help grow the market and build our sport bigger.
Yeah, I think there's a quite a big gap between the really small bikes and like the full-size bikes. For early teens, I know I have a CRF 110F for my daughter. She grew out of the bike for like a year ago, but she still rides it because it's semi-automatic, and she doesn't like the idea of having a clutch. Fun enough.
Yeah.
So
yeah, such a wise daughter. Should listen more to her.
yeah. So actually, I'm trying to find a bike for her, but it's mostly I who rides the Honda nowadays, down to the beach and to the store, and
it's a nice bike.
Yeah, it's really mellow and easy to ride. Royal Enfield invested quite a lot of money in your company. I think it was like a year ago.
Yeah, a bit more than a year ago. Yeah,
and they had dual sport and adventure models. Do you have any plans for those kind of bikes as well?
I mean, they have the Himalayan today, which is their adventure bike, which is hugely popular, of course. And I think they clearly see that electric is the future. But I can't speak of their development plans. That's confidential information and something that they have to decide. Of course, first of all, exactly what they will do and when, but also how to communicate it.
Yeah.
I think it's clear that Royal Enfield also sees that the future is electric, and I think they have built a lot of exciting bikes in the past, so it's going to be nice to see what they eventually unveil.
Isn't it like 1 year ago on the day that you delivered the first bike or let the first customer ride a bike?
It could be. I mean, it was in April, so I don't know which day. Maybe it was exactly a year ago.
Yeah.
Could
I
be.
really remember his name was Brian, something like that.
Brian
right?
Haskell, yeah.
Yeah.
Great
And
guy.
I think he uploaded the first videos in the beginning of April last year. So
Yeah.
that's kind of a milestone, right?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, actually, that's a big deal. We should think more about it. We've been a bit busy here lately, but yeah, that is a huge milestone for sure. 1 year.
So congratulations.
Thank you.
You made it this far at least.
Yeah, for sure. Now let's continue developing, and I think next year will be even more exciting. We're only getting started here. So
last time you didn't want to mention how many bikes you have sold, but I think the VIN numbers tells a little bit about that story at least.
Yeah, well, they do obviously.
Yeah, so I know for sure that at least 5,000 bikes has been delivered because I try to keep check in the VIN list from time to time when people want to share that. And I think that's should also be some kind of milestone. I know you're moving forward and upwards, but
yeah,
5,000 bikes in about half a year, maybe even like 8 months, something like that.
Yeah, I mean, we are. I think we are super proud of what we have achieved, but we also have super high expectations. So we always want to do more.
Yeah.
I think the team here should be incredibly proud of what they have done. In 1 year, now on a rolling monthly basis, being the biggest electric motorcycle manufacturer in the world, if you exclude scooters and kids bikes, that's incredible. I think we have an absolutely amazing team that have made that happen, but we're so hungry for more. We're looking, what's going to happen in 5 years. Oh shit, that's we got some work to do here. So we try to stay focused on that, but yeah, I mean, super proud, of course, of everything that everyone has achieved so far.
I know it's really hard to tell right now, but do you think that in 5 years you will have a full assortment of bikes? Or semi-full at least?
No, I mean, like if you really want to develop great bikes, it takes time, so we're not just going to push out 10 models, until we feel that they're all amazing. Like that's really our ambition. We don't want to release a half-assed product. Like when we release something, it should be mind-blowing. This is the ambition. For sure, we're working on more bikes, but it's not going to be that fast.
And also in regards of battery technology, we know that your supplier is the Molly cell. They released a new cell during the CS fair.
So they have released a new cell. I think it's a communication. It's not in production yet. And it's far away from production. So you have I think some some companies have some companies that are not in production have communicated those specs, but this so far is only a prototype cell. It's not in mass production, and of course it will be eventually, but that's it's quite far away. So continuously looking into how to make our bike better, which the battery cell is by far the biggest component that can make the biggest difference. So whenever we can use a better cell, we will do that. But that's quite far away.
For us enduro riders, I think it's proven by this point that the range is more than enough. I rarely use more than 25-30% when training. And when I ride hard enduro, I notice that maybe I can use 15-20% at maximum for a 3 to 4 hour training session. Would it make sense to create a battery that's more lightweight but less capacity?
Yeah, it's an interesting question for sure. What do you want? More range, lower weight, less range, less weight.
Personally, I would do like half the range.
Hmm.
And I think that will do quite a lot when it comes to the weight of the bike.
Yeah, it would make a huge difference, of course. Yeah, I mean, I think it's an interesting thought to have. In general, I think it's good to have more range than you need. You don't want to have the range anxiety, But if you use 30%, okay, you're not close to the anxiety. Hopefully, when you're at 70%. Yeah.
Even at times, I don't charge the bike when I get back home. I just go out in a couple of days after and maybe ride down to maybe 30-20%, something like that. Then I charge it and then I go back out. So
I mean, same here. I mean, it really depends on the riding you do. Like, I was riding motocross this weekend, and then I used the range quite a bit. So I want the capacity, but when I go out in the mountains around my house, I can do 1 hour of hard enduro and use 10%. And this sounds like just a false marketing claim, but that's the reality, because when you ride really, really technical, you basically don't use energy. Because maybe because I'm so bad that I'm just lifting the bike all the time. But that's so yeah. I don't charge it either every single time, because if I come back with 90%, I know I can ride next time before I need to charge this. So but it really depends on the kind of riding you do.
Yeah, I don't think it has anything to do with skill, because I lent the bike to a friend of mine who a really good extreme enduro rider, and he didn't use more battery than I did.
No, but it's an interesting question, but I can't really give you a straight answer. But for us in general, we want to improve both. Like I would prefer to reduce weight and increase range. It's always valuable to receive this kind of feedback, and we keep our ears to the ground. And of course, a lot of people internally has a lot of good ideas as well, and but we also listen to what everyone around the world has to say. So what is the right range versus weight? Great question. You can also argue, like, do you want different size batteries? Do you want to be able to remove half your battery? I don't believe in this sort of compromises. It's rare that a modular version becomes the best. I've never seen that in any product, basically. So I think it's about determining, okay, what is the right range? Have a little bit more than that, and then try to make a super light fucking bike without compromising, strength and fatigue and flex and these sort of things, of course.
Yeah, of course. But last time we talked about different kind of materials that would help or benefit the weight. Is there anything you want to share there, and any news regards of that?
Well, I don't think there's not something super new. I mean, we're looking into new materials. Can you use one component to do the job of two? Is also a great way to, the best way to reduce weight is to remove a component without removing a function. But we're continuously also evaluating different materials to figure out how to make a bike lighter and better. And of course, like I mentioned, I think titanium is a great option for that. It's not super cheap, but produced at scale, it can be competitive. So I think we will work more with titanium in the future. But there are also other interesting materials, of course.
Is there anything on a bike that you feel at this point that you would have made in hindsight you have made totally different than you did? And I'm not talking about the tubes or the pegs or the side stand, but like the main components in the drivetrain, for instance.
Yeah, I think the team did an amazing job building this bike, and I think we can see that with the feedback from the guys that have bought it today and have tried it, and it's a really, really good product. Now, of course, the challenge is like, how do you make something even better that will be available in a few years from now, of course, and that's a very nice ideation and creative process that we are going through, and in the end, I think it's important to, like you said, have ideas and then try them, and reality will prove which is the best direction. There are many ideas how to make the bike better, but until it's done, it's hard to say what's better or not.
Okay, yeah. Actually, I only have one question left. We talked a little about warranty earlier, but let's say, for instance, if you look into like Sauron, you can find several different suppliers of batteries, for instance. If there would be a supplier that started to make Stark Y batteries, how would that affect the warranty? Is it a big no-no, or?
Yeah, I mean, the battery, like for sure, the battery would be a big no-no, because that's so dangerous to play around with. It's so easy to mess things up, and very minor things in electronics can mess things up in other areas. And our bike, like it's quite sophisticated how all the different components communicate to each other. I don't think it would be, well, everything is possible, but I think if you would build your own battery or buy an aftermarket battery and put in our bike, you would lose the warranty in the powertrain components related to that. But we're not stupid. If there's another component that is completely unrelated,
like the fork, for instance.
Yeah, unless you double the weight of the bike, yeah, no, I mean, we are good guys, and we're always going to try to be reasonable and treat everyone as nicely as we possibly can. We want to give the best service in the industry. This is our ambition. So if you change handlebar, it's not that you lose the warranty on the bike. No, absolutely not.
Yeah.
But if some component is affected by what you change, yeah, maybe. If you put a billet steel brake lever on the bike and you tip over and break the front cylinder, front brake cylinder, that's not going to be a warranty. Well, if you crash and break it either way, unfortunately. But unless we see that there's a manufacturing error or that is the cause of breaking it, of course, if would be some porosity in the brake cylinder or whatever, then of course we would cover you.
Yeah. Okay, great. And that's all I have for today.
Great. Good to catch up with you, Fredrik. Hope everything is good on your end.
The same. And hopefully next time we can talk a little bit more about enduro bike.
Sounds good. Looking forward to. And perhaps go out riding as well.